All right. Hello,
Welcome.
everybody.
Yeah, this is Ashkahn,
And I am Graham,
and we're going to answer a question today.
which is, have there been any studies that show floating engages the parasympathetic nervous system? The old PNS.
Yes.
So thank you for the question, and good luck finding them. No, so let's start with what the parasympathetic nervous system is.
Yeah.
I
It's not
suppose.
the sympathetic nervous system.
Bingo. And therein lies the entire story. So the sympathetic nervous system is generally much more active. It's when your adrenal system activates. And the parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest system.
Yeah, they're kind of
sometimes
like
called.
the little phrases are fight or flight versus rest and digest.
Yep. And parasympathetic is much more associated with things like digestion, as you can imagine, with your heart rate slowing, breathing slowing, and all of these things. If you're familiar with floating, which hopefully you are, since you're listening to us ramble on about it day after day.
If not, welcome. I mean, yeah, it's about to be really exciting to you.
Right, those are the activities we associate with floating. When you're in the tank, your heart rate slows, your breathing slows, you calm down.
People say they come out feeling very hungry sometimes.
And it's because you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system. So that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And
here, this is most likely a very simplified view of the entire thing. But I always think about it as our bodies react to the external environment, and when there's stuff you have to do, or there's an animal trying to eat you, or all the stuff that generally comes with staying alive, your body is to prioritize resources, right? So like if a bear is chasing you, your body's like, what we should be doing right now is digesting food. So it kind of allocates the resources it needs to deal with the much more important stuff that's happening. And then when you don't have things like that going on, your body kind of shifts into another mode, and it's like, great, now we have time to do kind of like maintenance stuff. Like, let's repair things, let's rest, let's do the, let's grow. Like, part of like human growth can be part of that rest and digest system. I think there's like very acute cases of children who have like huge amounts of stress in their childhood actually being like stunted in terms of their growth. So there's all this stuff is kind of our body like switching the fire hose of resources around.
yeah, and as far as studies showing that that's the system that's being activated, for any study that actually looks at human metrics and is measuring heart rate, is measuring our brainwave levels even, or what's going on to us physically in the tank, you'd be hard-pressed to find any of those studies that don't pretty much point to the parasympathetic nervous system being activated.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like most of the stuff you hear about in terms of research of cortisol levels and heart rate and blood pressure and breathing, all these sorts of things are those kind of effects, the effects of your body, like switching gears like that.
So I'll turn the question around to you, listener, and say, do you know of any studies that don't show the parasympathetic nervous system being activated that are focusing on human metrics?
Yeah.
Because I would say I can't think of any.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like it's just a big, broad category of things that our body does, and almost everything is showing. And I think that's probably one of the like symptoms of an overabundance of stress in our society, is that our bodies don't have as much time to be in the parasympathetic nervous system mode as we used to. We used to have kind of maybe longer periods of activating that, and that just kind of gets a little bit harder in modern society with cars and blinking lights and sound effects and all that sort of stuff that our bodies kind of interpret sometimes as things they need to respond to, and things they need to respond to with more of our like active, survival sort of instincts.
Yeah, I remember having a discussion with Glenn Perry at some point, one of the founders of our industry and owners of Samadhi Tank Company. And he was saying, it wasn't that long ago where we'd finish up a day of work and then maybe we'd sit on our porch and watch the sunset and think about things that we'd done during the day. And maybe we'd reflect and say, oh, I was a little too mean in that scenario, or, oh, my calf hurts. Maybe I should take it a little easy there. And it's true. We're a society of chronic stress these days. We don't have that downtime. And to me, the fact that the float tanks do activate the parasympathetic nervous system, they kind of, as Glenn Perry was saying, recreate this end of the day relaxation, contemplation that we used to get very naturally, is a lot of their benefit. And it's certainly, at least for me, one of the big things that I take away from floating is forcing that kind of rest and digest system back into my busy life. And of those, I guess, just to name some, I would say the early ones like John Turner, Tom Fine, they took some really detailed metrics that they, the best they could do for the time when they were running research back in the 80s up through the 90s. And so they're some of the people whose early findings are showing this parasympathetic nervous system activating. And more recently, Justin Feinstein has just been collecting a bunch of data on biological metrics and markings. So just to kind of kick you off, those are two big ones. But I think Annette Kjellgren over in Sweden and the Swedish researchers have also shown the same results. And again, kind of any study that you're looking into where it's focusing on this biological aspect of floating, you'll probably find that same parasympathetic nervous system activation. So question answered, I guess?
Yeah, I guess we did it. And, as we only know so much about the technicalities of all this stuff. In the same way that we're not lawyers or doctors or economists, we're also not researchers. And so, I think I feel pretty good about the broad strokes of kind of how all this stuff works, but I'm sure there's plenty of nuance to the human body.
I've never found that to be true. But if you disagree, go over to floatanksolutions.com/podcast and shoot in your own questions so we can embarrass ourselves about our knowledge.
Yeah, please.
That's what we live for.
All right, bye, everybody.
Thanks.